UFC 308. This is the weigh-in recap show, full card predictions, and the betting breakdown. I'm looking forward to talking about each of the matchups on this card after seeing the fighters on the scales. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new, subscribe, turn the post notifications on, make sure you share the video too. And also note, I'll be live for the entire card. UFC 308 Fight Companion going down. Early start, 10 a.m. Eastern time. 7 a.m. Pacific time, Saturday. Don't miss me for the full card. The live streams are a lot of fun, and I got the best play-by-play on the damn planet. So make sure you tune into it. Let's start it off with fight number one. It's Rębecki Fakhretdinov versus Carlos Leal. I have been picking Fakhretdinov all week. I have to favor his wrestling ability in this matchup, as well as his UFC experience. Though I respect the work that Leal did in the PFL, it's not the UFC. He hasn't fought a pressure-heavy wrestler like Rębecki Fakhretdinov before, and even though Leal was supposed to fight this week, I believe it was at UAE Warriors, the fighter he was supposed to take on was on a 3-fight losing streak and was like 13-8. This is an insane jump in competition, and I think could be one of the worst stylistic matchups for a debuting Leal possible. Fakhretdinov, say what you want about his gas tank. He has moments where he looks kind of crappy, but he finished Kevin Lee easy. He bodied Brian Battle. He beat Nicholas Dalby, who's an absolute gangster last time. I think that Fakhretdinov is going to probably put it on Leal for 3 rounds and win a dominant decision. It wouldn't be crazy if Fakhretdinov did find the finish in this fight, especially with Leal stepping up massively in competition. He might be in shape, and there's actually accusations going around that his shape might be a little too good. We're going to look at the scales for that in 1 second. So Fakhretdinov, the pick throughout the whole week. Let's look at the scales. Let's check things out. So I got this legend on the screen right here. We'll talk about that soon. We got the face-off up already. I got it nice and early. You can see them going face-to-face. Something that I wanted to point out from the face-offs that isn't really visible as much so in the official pictures from the weigh-ins at ceremonies. Look at that visible acne on Leal. Now, I'm not trying to say he's definitely on PEDs, but he wasn't getting tested from USADA, and now he comes over to the UFC covered in acne. I just think it's a little suspect. He looks jacked. He looks shredded. He's in incredible shape. You can kind of see the acne there, but it's way more prominent. Holy shit. The pepperoni chest, man. The body acne is sus, especially for a dude who's, what, 30? Yeah, 30-year-old man with acne like that? Usually, it's from anabolics. Rębecki Fakhretdinov, look at this fucking animal. This guy looks like a supervillain. Fakhretdinov has a supervillain vibe and a very supervillain name. I think Fakhretdinov's taking it home. You can see the face-off. I like the intensity from Fakhretdinov. Calm, cool, collected, and confident. And I think ready for a massive win. I'm picking Rębecki Fakhretdinov to take it home. Now, let's check out the odds for the fight. Fakhretdinov is chalky at -225, but throughout the week, my confidence in him is built, and I see him as a hard stylistic matchup for Leal. Leal is solid with his grappling in his own right. I say he's a relatively good striker too, switch stance type of fighter on the feet, who brings good pressure kickboxing, but with Fakhretdinov's wrestling threat, I think his striking is essentially stifled. Now, yes, chalky favorite Fakhretdinov. How do you play this thing? Well, potential parlay on the money line for the side of Rębecki Fakhretdinov. Over 2.5 rounds, -210. Even though Leal was scheduled to fight, it is short notice and it's a massive competition step up. He could definitely be finished. And then Fakhretdinov to pull it off inside distance around +260. Interesting. I don't necessarily love the prop bet inside because officially I went out and said I think that we're going to see Fakhretdinov pull off a hard-fought decision. I just don't know how Leal's going to look in the later stages of the fight. That's a big question I have for Leal. If you look at his resume, I mean, he's done, 2 long fights with Sabi Dusi, and then you can see he's got 1 submission loss, which dates way back, all the way back. I believe it was this fight in 2014. So it's not like he's getting finished very damn often. But I think Fakhretdinov maybe surprises him with the finish. Not out of the question, but money line is the better side. Yes, it's chalky, but it's a relatively confident pick. I think Rinat Fakhretdinov showcases his wrestling skills. And to be fair, early in fights, his boxing looks good, but by round 3, he just kind of starts flailing his arms like an absolute freak. So I'm going with the freak, though. I'm going with Fakhretdinov, and I think he gets a nice W, and he's still undefeated in the UFC, taking out one of the better talents coming out of PFL. Next fight on the card, we have Bruno Silva versus Ismail Naurdiev. I'm going with Ismail Naurdiev. I've been picking him because I think Bruno Silva might be a tad bit past his best days. This is Naurdiev's second UFC run. It is kind of surprising to see somebody who's 1-2 over his last 3 fights get a UFC chance. Was impressive and dominant here, and then Coetzee knocked him out badly. Coetzee had a ton of hype building on him, and then he came into Contender Series and got absolutely worked by Franco. To be fair, he got caught by a big looping shot. Shit does happen in the fight game, but his striking's still clean. I guess I just have a feeling that Naurdiev's speed is going to be a factor on the feet, and I don't think he is an absolute slouch. I don't know. I feel like he's got a lot of upside and potential, and the fact that this is at 185, I like this more for him. Previously, he was a welterweight. Outside of the UFC, he was fighting at 175. I think Naurdiev, with the extra 10, 15 pounds on him, is much more of a threat for Bruno Silva, and I think the reason that he got signed again is because they recognize that he has decent potential. So I'm going to go with Ismail Naurdiev to beat Bruno Silva. I think he can pull this one out. Silva's a hard guy to put away. Naurdiev, though, is a relatively decent finisher. You can see 12 wins by knockout, 6 submissions. Bruno Silva's more of a guy that if you're beating him by finish, you're probably clubbing and subbing him. I still think he takes a clean shot, but I think I'm going to lean Naurdiev on the scorecards. I've been feeling that throughout the week, and I don't think I can really back down from a decision call. But Naurdiev is a good finisher. And, you know, Bruno Silva might be a bit past his best days. He's taken some damage in recent fights against Chris Weidman. My God, his eye almost got gouged out, man. Shame on Weidman in that matchup. Let's look at the scales. Bruno Silva kissing his fist and then pointing to his wrist. He's got the tattoo. I think that's his daughter's name, but could be a different family member. Bruno Silva looks decent. I don't know, though. I got just this vibe that he's a little bit past his best days. I think he gave it all to Ferreira. And look what I'm saying. Naurdiev looks solid. Aside from the fact that he has really, massive discolorations here on his side. Holy shit. Look at his side. Do you see that? The discoloration is kind of crazy to me. That's weird as hell. Naurdiev's got mad bruising there and on his shoulder. Either that or he's got some type of strange fungus. I don't know what type of bacteria he's bringing into the damn cage. But the viral infection, the bacterial infection I should call him, is going to make Silva sick. And I'm going with the side of Naurdiev to pull through. Now we'll look at the face-off and we'll get more of a vibe of how things went at the ceremonials. All right, we'll see how the feel was. And listen, it was intense. It was intense. Nose to nose, high intensity. Naurdiev and him pushing each other back with their foreheads. It was a sick face-off. Look at Naurdiev's face, though. He's grown up, man. This is not baby Naurdiev, who was at 170 in his early 20s. This is grown man Naurdiev looking to make some waves. And I think that he's got a decent enough skill set to beat this current version of Bruno Silva, and that's why I'm going to pick him. Now, as far as the betting lines for the fight, I was kind of surprised that Naurdiev was the favorite. He's sitting at minus 175, but to be fair, we are in Abu Dhabi, so, favor the guys from that region or, similar region. Naurdiev minus 175, Bruno Silva sitting at plus 150. I'm more of a stay away from this one unless you need an all EV OV parlay because Naurdiev's unproven at a high level. If Naurdiev is to win inside distance plus 145, subs all the way up at plus 500. If he subs it at plus 500, that'd be sick. I think Naurdiev wins the fight. I don't love that he's a minus 175 favorite. He opened up as an underdog. I think that the odds are a little wide here for somebody who's 2-2 in the UFC and, recently lost fights outside of the UFC. But I still think that he can pull off a win over this current version of Bruno Silva. So I'm going to go with Ismail Naurdiev to take it home. Maybe a surprising sub to shock the masses here because he is coming off a sub win in his last fight. And I think that Bruno Silva, could end up getting put on the ground, but he's probably got to get touched first clean on the feet. I like Naurdiev striking. I'm going to pick Naurdiev to pull through, and I think he beats Bruno Silva in the second fight on the card. Let's jump to the next one. We have Farid Basharat versus Victor Hugo. I've been picking Basharat all week, but let me give you guys details. So Victor Hugo said, hey, I'm not going to make weight. Let's do this at 145. This fight was scheduled to be a bantamweight fight, 135 pounds, 136 non-title. It is now a featherweight fight. Victor Hugo knew he was going to miss weight, and now we have Basharat come in at 137 because of the change to a catchweight. So I think Basharat is kind of getting fucked over in this fight here because Victor Hugo wanting to jump it up in weight is going to give him pretty serious 8.5 pound weight advantage. That's much less of a needed rehydration than Farid Basharat. Now, I think Basharat is definitely the better technician of the two. He's the better fighter of the two. But now he's in a spot where he's taking on somebody with a massive weight advantage. Things could go sideways because of this, and that's not fair at all to Farid Basharat. So shame on Victor Hugo. I think he's trying to fuck Basharat over because he knows at 135, he got to cut that weight. He ain't going to be able to deal with Basharat. With the extra 8.5 pounds, maybe his grappling strength holds up. Maybe his takedowns are even on the offensive. Maybe his punches do more damage. Maybe Basharat's a little more fatigued in the later stages and Hugo outmuscles him. I hate a situation like this, and I'm very pissed off that it happened. So shame on Victor Hugo for that. And with the loss, I will anticipate him to be cut from the UFC. I'm making the phone call and sending him out. There's Victor Hugo. He didn't fucking cut weight, this schmuck. You can tell. Look at that. He said, nah, I cut a few pounds. I'm good. Tell Basharat to go fuck himself. That's what he said. So fuck Victor Hugo. Absolute disgrace. That's not a weight cut. Does that look like a weight cut to any of you? Let me know in the comments. That's bullshit. That's bullshit, man. That's bullshit. That's trying to fuck Basharat over. One thing, he came in, he missed weight by 6 pounds even. For God's sake, he said, I'm not cutting weight. Let's do it at featherweight now. I would have rather seen him just miss. And then Basharat, who, you know, he did his cut. He looks great. He looks shredded. He looks ready to go. But he gets fucked over. He was cutting weight. He was cutting. Disgrace. Absolute disgrace. Basharat is in a compromised spot here. But I will still pick Basharat to win because karma's a bitch too. And I think he's going to do some damage to Victor Hugo. He was not happy. At the face-offs, he got intense with Hugo. Hugo got the mustache. Hugo looks like a Brazilian cop, to be honest. That's the vibe I get. I send this mustache man out and shave that fucking stash while you're at it. Basharat for the win. Victor Hugo is on a hated list now. This is a disgrace, and he's really screwing over a young prospect looking for an advantage. Well, hey, luckily, I think Basharat is that good where he's going to go out there and still work Victor Hugo regardless of the suboptimal circumstance. Odds for the fight, Basharat still a huge favorite at -800, but expect that to potentially drop a bit with Hugo missing weight and maybe some dog love to Hugo. Plus 550 for Hugo. I mean, it's a fuck spot. Over 1.5, -145. I do think the over 1.5 is live, but shit. Can you imagine an angry Farid Basharat just comes out like a savage and just destroys Victor Hugo? I could imagine it, but I think it's more imagination. I think Basharat's still clean and calculated, uses his technical striking edge and his well-timed takedowns, probably to cruise to a decision. That's been my pick. Over 1.5 is -145. I feel like it's live to go long here. Basharat by decision, -150. He's going to have to overcome a massive disadvantage in weight against an opponent that is really just trying to screw him and decided, hey, I'm not cutting weight. He should definitely be fined. There should be purse going to Basharat for this. This shouldn't just be, oh, well, it's a catchweight. No, it should be 30% of your purse goes to Basharat because he got absolutely screwed over with this one, weighing 137 and his damn opponent at 145.5. Disgraceful. Hugo didn't even try to cut weight. Basharat for the win. Hugo, you're going down, son. You're going down and out. Next fight on the card, Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Chris Barnett in a really weird fight. I'm picking Kennedy Nzechukwu, but I don't know, man. Aura looked off when they faced off, which I'll bring up in a second. But the reason you got to favor Nzechukwu is a crazy height and reach advantage. I think that he's able to strike well from range. I mean, Nzechukwu at times has pretty smooth hands. I mean, smooth in his own way. He's clunky, but at times he looks decent. Barnett's, one of the most athletic fat men on planet Earth, but my God, he's super obese. He hasn't fought in 2 years. He was supposed to fight Tafa a few weeks ago. He's taking this fight on short notice, coming in looking as chubby as ever before. And yeah, he's got a fun brawling style, but Nzechukwu, I don't know, he's got some skills. I feel like, I know it looks meh at times. I think he should be able to beat a Chris Barnett in this fight here. And I think that Nzechukwu could do work from top position on the ground. From the outside, too, obviously. And Barnett was getting rocked by Jake Collier. It's not like he looked good in that fight. I mean, he's 38 years old. I think he's kind of at a spot where he could potentially also be past his best days. So, Nzechukwu is the pick. But let's look at the scales, and we're going to see if you see what I'm saying. Chris Barnett looked happy as hell to be there. Fan favorite. My God. Chris Barnett deserves to be in a McDonald's commercial. I'm UFC fighter Chris Barnett, and this is my McDonald's order. I get 3 quarter pounders, 2 McFlurries, and a large fry with a Diet Coke. Like, can you imagine they did the Chris Barnett meal? Holy shit. McDonald's, hit up Chris Barnett, bro, because he can be your spokesperson. For all the fat athletes out there, this is my diet. Chris Barnett's funny as shit. And then we got Nzechukwu, who, I don't know, he always looks kind of mid. I don't know. It's Nzechukwu. I don't know how to describe it. He is mid. He is mid. He's all right, though. I mean, he beat Kute Laba. He beat Devin Clark. There's wins to respect on his resume. And he beat Carlos Ulberg at one point, for fuck's sake. So we got to give the dude some props here. And I'm going to pick him. Definitely looks thicker at heavyweight as opposed to being at, 205 where he was before. So big boy Nzechukwu moving up in weight. And I think with a favorable matchup, he should beat the significantly shorter Chris Barnett. Look at this damn size difference. Holy shit. That's crazy. They're laughing about it because it looks funny as hell. Chris Barnett's there for a good time, and I think he has fun early, but I think Nzechukwu beats him. Maybe a ground and pound stoppage, maybe a submission, but an Nzechukwu win. I understand the fun of Barnett. I mean, if he caught him with a big looping shot, we've seen Nzechukwu's chin fail him before, but I just don't think it's super likely. With that height difference, that's going to be crazy. Minus 800 Nzechukwu. Barnett at plus 550. I do think Nzechukwu takes it home inside distance. That's currently minus 275. KO is minus 160, but Nzechukwu's sub is plus 550. You imagine he locks in a rear naked choke. I don't know, though. Chris Barnett's so short, it might be hard to get that stocky neck. Plus 120 for an over 1.5 is not crazy. I could see Nzechukwu being calculated, but Barnett's crazy style, regardless if it hits or not, is going to have you sweating bullets on the plus 120. I think the fight ends inside of the distance, which is minus 400. I'm going to say Nzechukwu finishes Chris Barnett. Probably a knockout. Submission is the way better D-gen bet, but if you're actually talking likelihood of success, Nzechukwu probably stops him in the second or third round. So Kennedy Nzechukwu to beat the fan favorite Chris Barnett and probably put him away as well in a really weird fight. Next fight on the card, it's Abus Magomedov versus Bruno Ferreira. I've been riding with the side of Abus Magomedov throughout the week. I know Bruno Ferreira gets some love because of his absolutely sensational brawling style, but like Dustin Stoltzfus was hitting him with clean shots on the feet. And he looked like he was fatiguing towards the end of the first round where he ends up getting the spin back elbow KO. So Bruno Ferreira, explosive and powerful striker, and he's willing to take a lot of risks. But Abus Magomedov, technically superior fighter. I think will have the better wrestling game. And is a solid kickboxer too. I think Magomedov could have success in the striking realm. I mean, if you compare Bruno Ferreira's only loss, Nursultan Rizboyev, to Abus Magomedov, frame-wise, there's some comparisons, but Abus Magomedov, I would say, is better than Nursultan Rizboyev. But regardless of that fact, very different fight. Abus Magomedov, I could see him looking to slow this fight down and showcase his wrestling skills early on, controlling Ferreira a bit and kind of fatiguing him before they start mixing it up on the feet. Now, Bruno Ferreira's fun, and I know he's got a judo base, but he was even on his back with Dustin Stoltzfus. I don't love his wrestling defense in this fight. I think Abus Magomedov is calculated, and I think Abus Magomedov wins. He would be live for a finish Ferreira, if he's getting touched, I mean, he could get put out. Recent win, that decision, and he had a sick knockout of Stoltzfus. I think Magomedov's alive for inside distance, but it's going to be second or third round as he fatigues Bruno Ferreira, not like I think he blitzes him. Now, hey, if Bruno Ferreira gets wild and crazy, though, Magomedov could catch him with a counter, so I'm throwing a lot of cautionary tales out because the way this fight plays out is going to be very interesting, and I think Abus Magomedov, though, is going to try to do the smart thing, which is tie up with Ferreira, take him down, garner some control time, and slow the beast down. There's Bruno Ferreira. I'll be honest, he can make 170 pounds if he decides to cut a little body fat. He can be 170. He's not an 85er. And then Abus Magomedov looking absolutely fucking stacked. What a freak Abus Magomedov is. Abus Magomedov looking shredded. He's the swaggin' Dagestani, bro. He's from Germany, so he's got a different aura than all the Dagestan guys. There's the face-off between the two. Intense face-off. Little height edge for Magomedov. I expect a good fight. I think Magomedov is going to finish Bruno Ferreira. That's the vibe that I'm feeling with the face-off and all. Could it go longer? Sure. But something tells me the way Ferreira fights is not likely that he even survives till the final bell because he's going to look to swing like hell until it's over. Plus 122 for Bruno Ferreira with Abus Magomedov as a minus 142 favorite. I like the side of Abus Magomedov winning. I think Abus Magomedov... It's an interesting spot because over is minus 200. Is that accurate? I'm seeing plus here, minus there. Ends inside distance, minus 350. That's got to be a mismark that the over is minus 200 because I'm seeing that plus 200 elsewhere unless Bet Online is doing their own thing. Holy shit. Magomedov inside distance, plus 120. Magomedov KO, plus 500. Excuse me, no. It's Magomedov decision, plus 500. It's not crazy he takes a decision. Sub, plus 475. Magomedov's very money lineable. If you have faith in his skills, I would do that. But I also would sit and wait and maybe look at a live betting option because if Ferreira blows his wad in round one, but even has successful moments where the odds are close enough, you might still be able to snag Abus Magomedov at a similar line to what you're seeing here after a round that he loses, but Ferreira looks fatigued. So something to note, Abus Magomedov maybe after round one is potentially a live bet, but I do like Abus Magomedov to win. He is a money lineable call, and I'm going to pick him to finish Bruno Ferreira later in the fight. But I mean, decision is not insane if Magomedov just tries to control and wrestle and if he's successful doing it. It's just the way Ferreira fights, I think he's going to give it hell. It's finish or be finished. And I'm going to say Abus Magomedov is the finisher. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, we have Mitsabek Orolbai versus Mateusz Rębecki. This fight ended up getting moved up to 160 pounds. I don't know for sure who it is, but I'll guess. Come on. Mateusz Rębecki is a pretty thick lightweight, and he's like, yo, give us the 5 extra pounds. They do it at 160. You can see Rębecki was exactly 160 or by 159. So I'll assume Rębecki was definitely the one that wanted to jump it up by 5 pounds. Now, I've been picking Mitsabek Orolbai to win. He's a pretty calculated fighter. He's not bad on the feet, but he has exceptional wrestling and grappling control. Rębecki's really strong, though. He's got good grappling in his own right, and he's got massive power in his hands. Questionable cardio, though. He was finished late against Diego Ferreira. If you can't get Orolbai out of there early, which I don't think he will, how does he fare in the later stages with Orolbai's pressure wrestling attack? I don't think he fares well. I think Mitsabek Orolbai gets this fight to the ground, does some work controlling Rębecki, and I like the pick for Mitsabek Orolbai. I think he's a pretty well-versed prospect, and I think more ways to win. Like, could he catch Rębecki? Sure. Could he win a decision? Sure. Could he sub him? Sure. Rębecki, he's kind of a berserker style. I think he'd have to do some serious damage in this fight to keep Orolbai off of him, and I don't think that's super likely. I know a lot of people want to look to the Alves-Brenner fight and think, oh, well, Orolbai struggled there. Well, different stylistic clash. Brenner's a lot better from bottom position. Rębecki more of a bully who does work from top. So I'm going to go with the side of Mitsabek Orolbai to take it home. I see Mr. 10,000 BC, the first man on the planet, the last Neanderthal, taking it home. Look at this guy, bro. 10,000 years to prepare. He's going to win this thing. Rębecki looks jacked, though. Holy shit, he's a little freak. He looks like a mini Brock Lesnar. If Rębecki wasn't in the UFC, you would think he was a power lifter or something. Dude's just like an absolute little pit bull, man. Built like a freak of nature. And then there's the face-off between the two, which we got here. Orolbai, I think he looks ready to rock and roll. Respectable face-off. in a skillful clash. Mitabek Orolbai, the better technician, going to take it home. And I think he beats Mateusz Rębecki. He's a really chalky favorite at minus 335. Rębecki plus 275 as the underdog in this fight. Over 1.5 minus 260. I think it probably goes over 1.5. And then Rębecki to win via decision, or excuse me, Orolbai by a decision, plus 150. I was looking at the Rębecki line thinking it was Orolbai. I'm like, oh my God, plus 550 decision? Orolbai by sub is plus 500? Is it impossible? He does have 5 submission wins. I know Rębecki's pretty good though, but he lost on the ground with Ferreira last time. I don't know. Maybe a little, street degeneracy if you're chasing Orolbai by sub, because you can't do the money line at minus 335. He's a parlay-only piece. I'm going to say Mitabek Orolbai wins the fight. I think he's technically superior to Mateusz Rębecki, and I see him getting his hand raised in what should be a pretty fun fight. I'm actually really excited because I think Orolbai's got the goods to be top 15. Rębecki, people thought it, but then he got exposed by Ferreira, and I think that Orolbai shows him a different level of technical skills as well. So Orolbai for the W. Next fight on the card, we have Geoff Neal versus Rafael dos Anjos. I'm picking the side of Hands of Steel Neal in this fight. I think he can beat the 40-year-old RDA. It's actually RDA's birthday on fight day, which is kind of weird. You know, if you believe in superstitions, he should have like a 10% better chance of winning. But Geoff Neal's a powerful southpaw. He's got good takedown defense. He's very physically strong. He's got a size advantage over RDA. I still think Neal's in his prime. Dos Anjos is a crafty vet with great cardio, nasty body kicks, good grappling in his own right, but ultimately, I think that he struggles with the fellow southpaw in Geoff Neal, and I think he gets outstruck for a lot of the fight. I don't think it's out of this world to anticipate that Geoff Neal finds the chin. I think Geoff Neal could knock RDA out. Neal's known for finishing fights. I think people forget about his power. You just think of the recent losses, but Geoff Neal can crack, man, and I think he could knock Dos Anjos out in this matchup. Now, as far as the scales, let's check them out, and let's see. At 40, RDA looks pretty good, I would say. I mean, he still looks similar to his old self. His face just looks a little more worn down, but that's about as RDA as it gets. I just don't see him winning. Geoff Neal, I'm telling you, bro, he looks like an angry Martin Lawrence from Big Mama's house. Holy shit, he looks pissed. Geoff Neal's not happy, man. Let's check out the face-offs between these two. Let's see what we're looking at, man. Let's see. All right? Bam. Both guys look good. Both guys look ready to go. I know for a fact RDA is going to look to grapple. I think Neal's successful in defending the takedowns and has success in the stand-up. I like his striking skill a lot, and I think he does damage to RDA. So I'm going to go with Geoff Neal. I think he's going to finish this fight. I think he's live to knock RDA out in the second or third, and I'm going to pick the side of Hands of Steel. At minus 280, he's a chalky favorite, plus 240 for the old man RDA, whose birthday is on fight night. Not a nice gift to get knocked out. Well, maybe because it's his birthday, he survives till the final bell. Decision for Neal is plus 125. KO plus 175. There's really nothing nice you can do with Neal that's likely. Like, come on. He ain't submitting RDA. I'd be absolutely shocked if he submits Dos Anjos. Minus 280, chalky as hell. Becomes kind of a parlay-only type of thing, but I think that Geoff Neal's going to do well in the striking range with RDA. I think he's going to rip him up with shots, punches, and kicks, and I think he fends off the grappling onslaught. So the pick is going to be Geoff Neal to take it home, and I think he's sending RDA on a 3-fight losing streak. Luque, Gamrot, and now Neal. Last win for Neal was 2 years ago. He absolutely destroyed Luque as well. Next fight, it is our featured prelim of the night. Ibo Aslan versus Rafael Cerqueira. I am picking Rafael Cerqueira to take this thing home. I think that the dude has some really impressive skills, but we haven't seen him fight anybody good. What I have seen is nice kickboxing, Muay Thai-esque kickboxing, flying knees, elbows, strikes from range, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He is 34, which, is kind of a late start for a UFC debut, but he's also 11-0. And Ibo Aslan is a bit overrated. Ibo Aslan's powerful, but let's not forget he was getting his eyes shut by Anton Turkalj. Let's also not forget Anton Turkalj beat him outside of the UFC by submission. I don't think Ibo Aslan is the next Paulo Costa or the next Vitor Belfort. He has the look of such, but I think Cerqueira is a really tricky stylistic clash for him in a debut, or rather a second UFC fight. But being the debuting Cerqueira, I think he's live to win. And this fight got moved up from being the card opener to now the featured prelim, which is kind of crazy, man. I like the power punching of Aslan, but I don't like his lack of head movement. He doesn't move his head much. Cerqueira is good at throwing shots down the center line. He's a creative striker. He trains with Jailton Almeida. He's got good grappling. Ibo Aslan has a plodding style. Pressure, power, sure, but also gets caught a lot. And I don't think his chin can hold up from big shots from Cerqueira. But if they also engage in grappling, you have to say Cerqueira would be live to win by finish. Submission on the ground. Let's check the scales out between these two. There is Cerqueira, who looks in great shape. He looks younger than 34. He looks ready to rock and roll. There's Ibo Aslan. He's got the mommy milkers, bro. The fucking tits coming in heavy. Holy shit. Let's look at the face-off between these two. Aslan does have a badass beard, though. Give respect where it's due. Aslan's got a fucking savage beard, next level. And let's look at the face-off. Cerqueira looks like a more sophisticated Bruno Silva. A little higher IQ. He looks like a smart guy. He looks like he should be fighting at Fighting Nerds. Looks a lot taller than Aslan here, but I don't think he's that much taller. I think it's kind of the angle. He's a little bit taller, though. I'm telling you, bro, look at the Aslan titties, bro. Are you kidding me? Looks like he's got breast milk coming out. Holy shit. I'm roasting Aslan heavy. Aslan, I'm sorry, dog. I'm giving you a hard time. But if I'm Ibo Aslan and I'm on top, I'm using the mother's milk submission, where it's you squeeze your tits against your opponent's face and you suffocate him. I think Aslan's got the physique for it. Let's get the first ever win by mother's milk submission inside of the UFC, and let's get Aslan to do it. I'm picking Cerqueira to win for sure. I think he's going to be able to do work on the feet, but he could also showcase that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Slight favorite, minus 130. Aslan plus 110. Cerqueira was actually the underdog at open, so line is flipped the other way. Looking towards the prop betting side, Cerqueira to win by sub all the way up at plus 700. Cerqueira has 2 wins by submission, right? I understand. Oh, it's only 2 wins by submission. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Aslan's lone defeat was a rear naked choke loss to Anton Turkali, who I don't think is as good as Cerqueira. Now, sure, could Cerqueira knock him out plus 175? Certainly. Inside distance, safer call, maybe plus 130. But if you're looking to go for big or go for broke, plus 700, Cerqueira to win by submission is not crazy with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt and the potential questions around the gas tank and head movement of Ibo Aslan. He could get club and sub. I'm going with Cerqueira. I think he's winning this fight. Close money favorite and an exciting pick. I got him to pull through. And maybe a D-Gen prop plus 700 for sub is something you're going to be chasing. And I think it's going to be happening. I'm going with the Lion over the last Ottoman. Cerqueira for the W. Let's keep running. Let's jump to our main card opener. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you all smash that like button. Also, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe it up. We got Shara Bullet Magomedov versus Armen Petrosyan to start this main card off. I'm excited for this fight. I'm going with Shara Bullet. I've been picking him all week. He's an incredibly slick striker with nasty kicking skills. He's going to be faster than Armen Petrosyan, but Armen Petrosyan is definitely quality with his stand-up skills. He's good at kickboxing. His hands aren't bad. He's got a solid flow. He also is okay at mixing in takedowns, but he's not an exceptional wrestler. How much better at wrestling is Armen Petrosyan than, let's say, a Bruno Silva or a Mikhail Oleg-Jacek? I don't know if substantially better. Most of his wrestling that he's going to be able to set up is by using his striking. Doesn't have that option here. So sure, panic wrestling, just trying to hold and wrestle. But is he going to get Shara down and do damage from top, or is he just going to hold him against the cage? And is Shara Bullet not working his ass off to get better in these grappling positions? I believe he is. I'm picking Shara Bullet Magomedov to win this fight. I think he can outstrike Petrosyan. I think he can have an impressive performance. But to be fair, very hard for me to say that Shara is going to chin Armen Petrosyan. I'm leaning towards Magomedov winning a hard-fought decision because you got to respect Petrosyan's striking skill set. Now, he has been knocked out before outside of the UFC. He was chinned. But, you know, in the UFC, he lost to Kyle Bry, who's a grappler, and lost to Adolfo Vieira, who's a grappler. His only losses in the UFC have been against grapplers. He's taken on a striker, complete opposite of a Rodolfo Vieira matchup here with Shara Magomedov. Clash of striking skills, Shara Magomedov pulls it off, but I do think it's a relatively hard fight. I don't think it's a walk in the park. If Shara went out and knocked Petrosyan out in the first 2 rounds and he like made it look easy, I would be very impressed, and I would feel as though Shara has improved substantially since last time. I anticipate a hard 3 rounds. Petrosyan looks in great shape. The dude does not come to lose. Petrosyan's a crafty striker, and he's a talented guy. Shara Magomedov, obviously extremely talented, trying to be the most active fighter in the UFC. Says if he comes out unscathed, he wants to fight in November on the Macau card. So respect to Shara Bullet. I'm riding with the side of Shara Bullet to win it, and we're going to look at the face-off between these guys opening up our main card. Let's see what the vibe is like here. Let's see what we're looking at. It smiles all the way through. We got the Pirate. Shara is the Pirate. Perfect damn nickname for him with the absolute striking red beard. And then you got Petrosyan smiling at him. This looks like a love story, to be honest, with the way that they're staring each other down. Looks like the first kiss. Holy shit. I'm going with Shara Bullet to win this thing. I think he's taking Armin Petrosyan out. Respect between both guys, as I anticipated, because, you know, neither are really looking to talk crap here. Who's got beef with Armin Petrosyan? Probably nobody. Plus 144 for Petrosyan. Shara Bullet at minus 164. With a win, Shara Bullet puts himself in a spot where he could earn a very exciting fight next time against, you know, one of the bigger names in the middleweight division. Probably outside of the rankings, but still one of the bigger names. Over is minus 280. Interesting. Magomedov decision. My official pick is plus 140. If he somehow pulled off a KO, that would be sitting at plus 300. Nah, I think decision. I think even though it's a tremendous clash of strikers, it will be a competitive fight. And I think Shara Bullet pulls through on the judges' scorecards. The pick, Shara Bullet, bettable money line at minus 164. I do think his speed advantage and his explosiveness edge is going to carry him in this fight. But Petrosyan, no easy test for any striker on the roster. Next fight on the card, we have Lerone Murphy versus Dan Ige. I've been picking the side of Lerone Murphy throughout the week. I think he can strike with Dan Ige, but I also think he can out-wrestle Dan Ige. I like the chance of Lerone Murphy mixing in some grappling. I think that is probably a positive aspect of his game, as he has relatively good wrestling, especially for an Englishman. Dan Ige's got awesome boxing. He's quick. He's got big looping shots, powerful body work he can do too, but you got to kind of sit in front of him to let it work. I don't think Lerone Murphy is a sitting duck to power strikes. I think Murphy is going to be hitting Ige hard back. I see this as a fun and competitive fight where Lerone Murphy is probably going to engage in some grappling, and I think he could potentially take Dan Ige down a bit. Don't know how much damage he does from top position, but I do think at the very least it resets a lot of the striking exchanges, and I think Lerone Murphy is pulling off a decision win. In a hard 3-round battle, Lerone Murphy is taking it home 29-28, 30-27, 29-28. I see it as close, but still clear towards the side of Lerone Murphy at the end of it, because you got to respect 50K Ige. He's an absolute gangster. Now, looking at the scales, Dan Ige, he looks okay on the scale, looks shredded up. I mean, last time he took a fight on 4 hours notice, had a long time to prepare for this one. He looks good. Opposite side, there's Lerone Murphy. I mean, to be honest, he looks like he's starving. Holy shit, he looks like a marathon runner, yo. He looks very drained out. The weight cut affects Lerone Murphy's face, yo. He looks like a damn skeleton, bro. Holy shit. Lerone Murphy looks like he's on some crack. But, you know, he's not. Hopefully not. I don't think so. And then he rehydrates, and what the fuck is this freak? Look at the rehydration from Lerone Murphy. The dude looks like a specimen. Is there any body fat? Is that 1% body fat? I'll anticipate it's like 5% at the most. The dude is insanely diced, and Lerone Murphy is an exciting guy on the come up. You got to respect Lerone's skills. Too crafty, too well-rounded, too primed. He's going to beat Dan Ige, and I think he's going to be pretty clean with it. Rather dominant, but Ige will have moments because he's a gangster. Minus 250 for Murphy, Ige plus 210. I like the chances for Lerone Murphy here. Looking at over 2.5, minus 391 range. I like the chances of the over hitting. And then also looking towards Murphy on the cards. Wow, minus 170. That kind of sucks. Murphy's, for the most part, a decision winner. Now, I know he's got 2 KOs, but he wins a lot of decisions. Dan Ige is not a guy that gets finished. I don't think that there's a finish here. I think it's a competitive and entertaining 3-round fight. The over 2.5 is going to hit, and I'm confident that over comes through. Lerone Murphy for the W, beating Dan Ige. He's taking home a massive win. Lerone Murphy to get it done. And still undefeated as well. Next fight, our featured bout of the night. It's Magomed Ankalaev versus Alexander Rakic. I've been picking Magomed Ankalaev all week, and I will reiterate it as many times as need be. Alexander Rakic is good from the green zone of striking, the long range. As it gets in to the mid and the close range, Ankalaev has a vast advantage in boxing. Ankalaev is cleaner with his boxing for sure. He's better at inside fighting. He's got nicer hooks, nicer uppercuts, and he's simply just more comfortable in close range. Alexander Rakic is great at picking legs apart and striking from long distance with straight shots, but Ankalaev is a patient pressure fighter who is going to find his way on the inside. Ankalaev knows a lot of kicks are coming from Rakic. I know for a fact he's going to look to rip kicks. Magomed Ankalaev is going to pressure him, push him backwards, make him uncomfortable, and I think he's going to get a knockout win here over Rakic in the second or third round, in which should be a pretty interesting fight. Ankalaev also got solid grappling skills, could potentially mix in takedowns. I see Ankalaev getting a win. I want him to get a finish because I guess the UFC told him if he's impressive, he gets a title shot. If not, no title fight. So he's in one of those weird positions where, damn, you better put everything on the line to get that stoppage. But either way, with a W, most deserving guy. For sure. He's got to fight against Ferreira. We need to see that. Rakic looks incredible. He looks awesome on the scale. Rakic is really good. I just don't think Rakic is beating Magomed Ankalaev. He just got knocked out by Prochazka last time. Granted, the team made the excuse he was on antibiotics and he's so much better. Well, he's got to step up in competition because Magomed Ankalaev is way more well-versed than the powerful Yuri Prochazka. There's Ankalaev, who looks like the real-life bird person, yo. Holy shit. Tell me he don't look like the eagle, man. You could call him the crow. Magomed, the crow, Ankalaev, and he's even got some darkness under his damn eyes, too. And then let's look at the face-off as both guys rehydrated. You can see slight size advantage for Rakic. Rakic does look absolutely stacked with muscle. He's got one of the more impressive physiques in the damn light heavyweight division. Ankalaev looks good too, though. He's in great shape. And I think simply he's just a technically better fighter in more areas. Not that Rakic isn't a technical fighter. I'm hyping up his kickboxing from distance. He is nasty from the outside. But I don't think he keeps Ankalaev at bay for 3 rounds. And I don't really think he has a wrestling option. So I think he gets fucked up in close range, and I think he ends up getting knocked out. I'm going with Magomed Ankalaev to earn his title fight against Poatan. Minus 380 for Magomed Ankalaev. Rakic sitting at plus 305 as the underdog. I think it's Ankalaev's time. Ankalaev inside of the distance, plus 200. Ankalaev KO, plus 220. I think he probably gets a KO in the later stage. Ankalaev decision, minus 115. I think he's going for a KO. I think he's going to pull through. Ankalaev wins by knockout in round 2 is plus 800, round 3 plus 1400. I like second or third round knockout chance. I think Ankalaev's going to bring pressure to Rakic, and I think it's a violent fight. We've seen Rakic knocked out last time. The chin got tested. He got put to sleep as he took on Prochazka. Ankalaev is precise with the hands, and I think when he gets in close range, he's going to do nice work. And Ankalaev has assured us, don't worry, I'm good at checking these leg kicks now. We'll find out. We'll find out. Fun fight. I'm picking Ankalaev to win, and I think he gets a violent finish. Next fight on the card, it brings us to our co-main event. We have Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat Chimaev. Humble Khamzat Chimaev. I've been picking Khamzat Chimaev all week. Khamzat Chimaev is one of my favorite fighters right now. I'll actually say he's my favorite fighter right now, but he's one of my favorite fighters even of all time. And I think it's about time that Khamzat Chimaev has the performance of a lifetime and earns himself a title fight. The wrestling advantage is vast, okay? Rob Whittaker knows it. He wants to stay away from Khamzat and not engage in wrestling. He said it at the press conference. He wants to be where he's most comfortable. He wants to play to his strengths, which is strike. I don't think Rob Whittaker can just comfortably kickbox with the wrestling threat from Khamzat. I think that stifles Whittaker's striking, and I think that then leads to more of an offensive threat with the Khamzat Chimaev striking. His boxing is going to be more dangerous in this fight. I think Khamzat Chimaev wins this fight on the ground. I think Khamzat Chimaev finishes inside of the distance with probably a submission, but potentially ground and pound, stopping Robert Whittaker and silencing the doubters, because the new narrative is to hate on Khamzat Chimaev. He pulled out of a fight because of illness. He looks more humble because he said, I have a son now. He had a surgery. I have a different view of life. When I carry myself in a crazy way, my son's going to see it. He's just matured. This should be better. A higher fight IQ and more mature Khamzat is a championship Khamzat. And he's already beaten Kamaru Usman, who's one of the best welterweights, if not the best welterweight ever. Let's look at the scales, okay? There's a lot to say about the scales because there's bullshit going on. First and foremost, Khamzat looks horrible in this picture. I promise you it's the lighting, and there was some manipulation done. We'll talk about that in a second. There is the rumor mill spreading. The weigh-ins were extended an extra hour, so Khamzat Chimaev could weigh in, as well as Shara Bullet, because they were waiting till the last minute. The weigh-ins were ending at 11 p.m. local time, 11 a.m. local time. Either way, I looked into it. I digged online. I was like, let me fact check this, because I'm seeing a lot of bullshit being spread. They extended the early window so you could weigh in at 9 a.m. to 11. Yes, normally they're now doing a 1 hour window. Everybody's got to weigh in. Then you get a second attempt later. Not in Abu Dhabi. Instead, they said, okay, let's do an extra hour on the front half, not on the back half. This is fake news. Khamzat would have weighed in at this time either way. So there's no shift for Khamzat, the bias towards these Muslim fighters. No. It's fake news. And if you're hearing that and you're believing that, you're being manipulated. It's not true. I looked into this. This is not facts, okay? It was 10 to 11. They made it 9 to 11. That doesn't affect Khamzat's weigh-in at all. But of course, Khamzat, oh, he almost missed weight. Khamzat's not taking it serious. This and that. It gets clicks, and everything's about clicks. Khamzat on the scale here, but then you see when the lighting looks a little better, Khamzat looks shredded and jacked. But you're seeing this picture all over, okay? There is Khamzat looking shredded and jacked. There's Khamzat looking ready for war. And then they got this picture, him rubbing his face. Oh, my God, he was sad. He missed weight. The scale was still moving. I don't think it was. No. Rob Whittaker looks great. Respect to Rob. This is not the bash Rob Whittaker show. All I'm saying is don't believe the bullshit that Khamzat looked like crap on the scales. Look at him with better lighting. He looked fucking ripped as fuck. This is the best shape Khamzat's been in. Look at him at the ceremonials. He looked fucking jacked as fuck. Check this real quick. This is the UFC official picture, right? It looks good. This is the saturation difference. So this is a potential conspiracy I'm starting. Look at the lighting right here. Look at this. This is Rob Whittaker looking shredded on the scale. This is Khamzat Chimaev looking dead on the scale. Do you see the shift in the color of this background? Do you see the shift? This is MMA Junkie. Do you see the shift in the color of the background? What this is from is dropping saturation. I believe CNN was accused of doing the same thing with Joe Rogan to make like he was more sick with COVID at the time than he actually was. Do you see the saturation shift? MMA Junkie, what's up? Oh, but it's just a lighting change. This is the clip that's gone viral, right? These are the pictures that gone viral. Khamzat looks white as a ghost. He looks like a dead man. Look at the difference. Look at the guy in the background. He looks red. Here he looks gray. This is completely different saturation. This is fake. This is fake, guys. I'm just telling you. So you all know. This was the manipulation of the minds now that Khamzat's off weight. Khamzat's not taking it serious. He's sick. Bullshit. Khamzat is in the best shape and mental state of his fighting career. I promise you. He looks fucking jacked as I've ever seen. Khamzat looks like a legit middleweight now. So don't buy the bullshit being spread on the interwebs by the Khamzat Chimaev hate community. This is the new thing. Hate on Khamzat. That's trendy. Because he pulled out of one fight because he was sick. He's had some issues. Health issues are a real thing. And, oh, he looks humble. He grew his hair out. No. Khamzat Chimaev is ready to kill. And I think Khamzat Chimaev is going to be in championship form come fight day. And I had to showcase to you guys that those pictures you're seeing online where Khamzat looks so bad on the scale is all fake news, okay? Just so you know. It's all fake. There's the face-off. He looks bigger than Rob Whittaker. He looks like a fucking massive middleweight now. Does he not look more confident you ever seen? Look at him looking into his soul. This is a Khamzat taking it more serious than before, not less. Don't buy the bullshit, guys. Khamzat Chimaev for the win. Khamzat Chimaev for the finish. Khamzat's my guy, and I think he's a lock to pull through, and he's my favorite fighter. So don't disrespect my guy, Khamzat, okay? To everybody hating on him. Minus 230, Khamzat Chimaev. Rob Whittaker, plus 195. Khamzat's the one. Rob Whittaker's not the guy to beat him. Levels on the ground, and you're going to see. Khamzat Chimaev inside of the distance, minus 145. Khamzat Chimaev KO plus 170. And then submission plus 225. I think he's live for a ground and pound or a submission. I don't think Rob Whittaker is going to know how to deal with his wrestling. I think he's going to be shocked. And remember something. Khamzat Chimaev has a new training plan. You questioned his cardio back then. This is a new Khamzat. I promise you he's different. I'm telling you he's different. Khamzat Chimaev's going to win this fight, and you're going to say, oh shit, he is that good. I forgot. Just because he had a tough fight versus Usman and he still dominated, and Usman is the fucking former champ, dominant champ, at 170 would have fucked up Rob Whittaker back in the day. Just to be fair, it's not like Rob Whittaker wasn't at welterweight at one point. He moved up to middleweight and he became the best version of himself. Khamzat Chimaev moved up to middleweight, becoming the best version of himself. And sure, he had tough moments with Usman. Okay, this is a different Khamzat now. Khamzat Chimaev and still undefeated, and Dricus du Plessis better be ready for war because Khamzat's coming for the throne. Khamzat and still undefeated, taking it home, co-main event, confident pick, and my favorite fight on the damn card. Actually, it's tied with the Topuria Holloway fight. So let's jump to our main event. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe it up. Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway to close out the Abu Dhabi show. I'm going with Ilia Topuria. I actually believe he's that good. Topuria is the better boxer, for sure. Holloway's got great volume striking, but he's not as clean of a boxer as Topuria. He's not as slick as Topuria. He's not as powerful as Topuria. Topuria's also got high-level grappling. I think he's a specimen. Max Holloway, yes, he has great volume, but my God, he absorbs a lot of shots, and he's never been knocked out. But it dawned on me, this is the time that he does get knocked out, because Topuria has a nasty overhand. And I think Holloway could get put down by the Topuria overhand at 145 pounds. I think Topuria is the special one. He's confidently predicting knockout, and I'm going to believe Ilia Topuria when he tells me he's knocking Max Holloway out, because Topuria is the one. I have a feeling that Topuria is going to be beating people up at the top of this damn featherweight division for a while. And he already took out the featherweight GOAT Volkanovski. Now he's got the number 2 GOAT at featherweight Holloway, and I think he's taking him out too. So Ilia Topuria for the W, still my pick, and probably more confident by the end of the week than initially. There is Max Holloway. He looks pretty good. Looks solid on the scale. There's Ilia Topuria. Looks jacked and shredded and solid on the scale. The fucking abs look insane. Ilia Topuria is ready to rock, man. Ilia Topuria's got unmatched aura now, and I think he's going to get a violent win. You can see the face-off here between the two. From long distance, you can see, obviously, Holloway, a little bit taller, but, not a substantial concern. Reach is actually the exact same, which is interesting, right, with Holloway's height edge. I think Topuria is going to do work with his hands. And he's told Max Holloway to his face, I'm going to be the first guy to knock you out. He has already said to Max, I want to meet you in the middle and swing for the first 10 seconds. Max has turned it down. Max is the BMF, but BMFs don't turn down those type of challenges, man. So Holloway getting his whole BMF status challenged by Topuria. Doesn't matter, because Topuria is the real champ, and Topuria is going to pull through and take it home. Look at Topuria. Look at this savage. Look at his confidence. Gleaming with confidence, oozing with confidence, and ready for a massive win. Topuria minus 230. Holloway plus 195. The way Topuria is talking, it's hard for me not to believe that he's going to search for the finish. I could see this thing going long. Earlier in the week, I was like, all right, Topuria decision, which is plus 300. But now, KO plus 165. I mean, the odds are not as good, right? But I think Topuria could be the first guy to chin Max Holloway. I do have a little bit of a feeling that he could catch him over the top. But if Holloway's chin, which is always historic, holds up as it normally does, I could see this fight looking similar to the Poirier rematch, where Holloway gets rocked a couple of times, isn't able to win majority of the exchanges, but does survive till the final bell, and it would be a dominant Topuria W. It really depends on how good is that Holloway chin. I think it's real good, but is it good enough to survive the hellish power from Ilia Topuria? I don't know. I lean no. Topuria's got nasty boxing, and I think he could find a beautiful counter shot to rock Max Holloway. If he knocks Max Holloway out, holy shit, man. Might be the craziest win of the damn year, because Holloway, as many shots as he's taken, never been put down, man. I'm going with Topuria and still champ. I believe he's the special one. Knocked out Volkanovski, and now I think he's live to knock out Max Holloway. I know Holloway looked great against Gaethje, but Gaethje's boxing is nowhere near the level of Ilia Topuria, and I think that we're going to witness a new level with Topuria's striking, showcasing, and maybe making enough of a statement that talks start to build about him jumping up to the damn lightweight division and potentially taking on Makhachev, or if, Sarukian's the champ, if he somehow beats Makhachev in the future. So Topuria for the win, and still undefeated and still champion, taking out the fan favorite Max Holloway. But I'll tell you straight, Topuria is becoming one of my favorites. That confidence is unmatched, and you can call it cockiness, but I think he's just got unmatched self-belief. Now, I do want to jump to the parlays. I'll briefly glance what we talked about earlier in the week, and we'll see if it's still lining up. Yes, I think Neal, Basharat, but now I'm more worried with Neal Basharat. Now I have to sweat more on Neal Basharat. Topuria, Ankalaev, I still love that one, okay? Khamzat, Murphy, Ige, Neal. It's like you almost want to just take Basharat out because of this weight miss thing, even though I think he wins. It's just instead of Neal Basharat, throw in Ankalaev. I think I'm going to mix and match it right now before your eyes. I think we got it right here. So, okay. We're going to make some magic happen right here, right now. I think Ilia Topuria is taking home a nice win. I truly believe it. I think he's going to look good doing it as well. To add in more steam to your Ilia Topuria call, if you just want to go a two-play, not crazy to throw Magomed Ankalaev, minus 125 for these two. If you believe in the faith, if you think Khamzat's the one, plus 156 for the big three to all get W's. Now, if you want to leave Khamzat out, maybe you like Topuria. Maybe you don't like Magomed Ankalaev because, there's always people that have their own gripes. I think the over in this fight is a definite hitter, and that's why I locked Khamzat and the over 2.5 in that fight at minus 120. Now, if you added in Topuria, now you get plus 156, but I'll leave Khamzat out for the sake of the conversation. If you think Cerqueira's live to win, you could get more than plus 2-1. What? So that's solid. Plus 200 range. Mitabek Orolbai, the over in Topuria is very interesting, as well as Fakhretdinov early, plus 248. Ways to match it. Now I got to go D-Gen mode. You guys know what the safer calls are, okay? We talk safer calls all week long. I want to go savage calls. Topuria, Khamzat, Ankalaev, money calls. Over 2.5 rounds, money calls. Okay, where can I go with this? How D-Gen can we get it? I don't know. Orolbai, plus 340. It's hard to get a D-Gen as fuck. I guess I could add in Cerqueira to almost get plus 1,000. But if you take Cerqueira out because he's in his 30s, you're like, bro, I don't know about this dude. If you don't believe in him, which maybe you don't, do I really want to have it relying on Abus Magomedov? I guess for plus 666, I'll have it relying on Abus Magomedov for this D-Gen call. Fakhretdinov plus 1,000. The earlier in the week D-Gen call, just to read it off, was Khamzat, Murphy, Ige, Topuria, Ankalaev, Neal, Basharat, and Cerqueira. Still think it can come through. Still feeling it. Now, if you wanted to maybe, replace or remove, maybe you're like, dog, I'm worried about Basharat, so you're taking him out. Maybe you're playing, the over 1.5 in this damn Basharat fight instead of just him straight on the line because of this weight miss. But he might be angry and come out like a damn pit bull. Obviously, these bottom ones here are pretty savage. Khamzat, Murphy over with Ige, Topuria, Ankalaev, Neal, Basharat, Cerqueira, and Nzechukwu over 1.5, which I like a lot for a D-Gen savage call, is plus 1862. You take it out, you still got good money as well. The parlays this week are in danger zone, but I think we got some money. To really get the plus, it's easier to find the safer plays, and you see them there, and it pretty much all lines up with everything I'm saying. So if you're doing parlays, do your own research. If you're throwing money down, do your own research. I'm telling you what I'm thinking, but I always recommend to the bettors out there to do their own due diligence too and see where we link up. UFC 308. That's the show, this week's weigh-in show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Listen, I think the evidence I brought for the Khamzat thing is real. Let me know if you agree in the comments if there's some media manipulation on Khamzat Chimaev's recent weigh-in. Appreciate you guys all for watching. See you for the Fight Companion. Smash the likes on your way out. If you're new, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on. And W in the comments if you got nothing to say down below. Appreciate you all. See you in the next one. Peace out.